I got 6 o'clock. Let's call the meeting to order. Looks like we do have about everyone here. We do have enough for a quorum. If you would review the minutes from the September meeting, and if there's any additions, corrections, if there's any needs to be made. If not, I entertain a motion to approve. A motion to approve the minutes by Richard Johnson. You second, Mr. Tyler. All in favor, say aye. All right, the minutes approved. The next thing on our agenda is discussion items of the Trey Park Playground ground covering. I think the mayor has got us 3 bids here, or is that correct? 1, 4. Did anybody else, did you get any more bids or anything, Mr. Gully?
I've been in contact with sorry, give me just a second, with Jelly Bean mulch company that we recently talked with. Their bid's still at $95,000. Actually, I've been in touch with John. His name's John Perrell, Pell, I'm sorry, P-E-L-L. And he's trying, he and the mayor and I have been in contact a few times. We're trying to get in touch with the individual at TDEC to get some paperwork to him to see if that's that approval fits what is needed. But we've had trouble getting in touch with the individual at TDEC at this point in time. Mayor knows that name. I know he sent it to me last week, but it slipped my mind at this point. I might say his bid still stands at $95,000 on that mulch.
Mayor, did you want to go over the proposals you got here?
You're gonna have to give me a moment. My computer quit on me and I'm trying to bring up the updated ones we got. We did get, TDEC did come back a few days after the last Parks and Recreation Committee meeting and said that there is a specific certification they want them to have. I think it's called IPEMA. And so when we put that back, that did raise it, as that is apparently a higher qualification. And I'm trying to get, if you give me just a moment, I'm trying to get to those new grant number, or excuse me, quote numbers. I don't know if that is that the updated numbers, because I think it changed.
I think he's already.
Okay, for the black mulch for Recreational Concepts, who is the firm we were using to do the LPRF grant, the IPEMA certified mulch is $72,157. And that is just the black mulch. They did give me a quote on some color mulch, and it doesn't matter what the color is, the price is the same. And they've got $103,843, and that does not include freight, installation, or anything else. That's just the price of the mulch itself. And that is the Recreational Concepts, which, like I said, that's the firm we were using to help us with the LPRF grant, and the one that has the equipment. I did hand out another one. I think I have to give one. Mr. Gully should have been on your place when you came in. It's from Cunningham Recreation. They actually came out and looked at the park, I think, early last week and gave us a quote. Again, this is just on the black rubber. I've asked for one on the color, but haven't received it yet. And this is also IPEMA certified, and their quote just for the mulch itself is $85,875. Now they did include freight on this, but that's just obviously if we get somebody to go pick it up, which was some of the discussion previously, they wouldn't need that freight quote. And again, this is just for black. This is not for colors. I'm still waiting for that estimate.
Committee look it over a few minutes and sort of give me some suggestions, or what, let's move forward with something.
As we're looking at at moving forward. I think we also, the mayor and I discussed last week, we really don't have to move forward with a particular company at this time. We have to, that doesn't be, we don't have to move right now saying, hey, we're going with this or we're going with this. We can move forth with a realization that we're willing to support moving forward with the mulch in this way, and then looking at the dollar figures and what we've got to come up with on that part. I think is the way Mayor and I discussed that last week. We discussed some last Wednesday. I don't think at this point we have to truly put in a company that we're going with, maybe more of a dollar figure that we would be willing to look at.
Yeah, we need to do it. If you're going to do it, you need to do it on a dollar figure because we have to follow the purchasing policy once it's budgeted, and we have to go through that and we'll try to get at least 3 quotes since it's over $10,000. So I would ask if you're going to do something tonight, do it on at a dollar amount and not a particular company, because that's what we have to go through the purchasing policy and purchasing process for.
I might ask this question though, Mayor, in terms of this IPEMA certification, from what I have gathered on it, it is really nothing more than a stamp saying our test says we certify this fall rate. To that extent, it's about what it really goes over. We're not getting a grant for this actual piece. This is us doing it on our own either way. I understand that TDEC said, hey, we want this, but is it going to be contingent upon something else, or is it just saying, hey, we really would rather have this stamp on it? And the only reason I say that is I talked with John quite a bit. John Pell about this piece. He and I have been in contact quite a few times. When I say John, it's a single man. This is a 2-man company that I'm talking about with Jelly Bean. And he walked me through a whole lot about this IPEMA piece. And you know, to him, he said, you're just looking for a stamp saying it's a fall rating is all you're really looking at. Any rubber mulch is going to have the same. They not change the mulch. It's the exact same mulch that we'd have been getting otherwise. It's just got a stamp coming with it. So I guess what I'm asking there in this case, is it benefiting us, or in what way is it benefiting us to make sure we have this stamp?
Since we have the grant, TDEC is the one that's going to come out and do the inspection, and they're requiring this certification when they come out and do the inspection for the safety surfacing. So this is what they want us to put down. And as far as, is there any grant money for it? They did talk about maybe they could give us a little bit more funds to maybe assist with this, but that's discussions that still have to be had. But it comes down to that they're the ones that's going to come out and inspect this property to make sure it's done to meet their certification or what their requirements, and this is what their requirements are.
But they're looking at the new section that we're going to be putting in more of an ADA compliant area. Am I correct on that? They're not.
No, they're going to look at the entirety of Trey Park, not just what we've done. That's one of the reasons why they wanted the safety audit. So they're not just looking at the project area. They're going to inspect the whole thing.
The only reason I bring up those thoughts is in talking with the folks that do this game and are about this piece here. That's what John's in on that part. The original bid here was $36,400 that we went to look at. If you go back over on one of the black mulch that we originally discussed. So if it's just a stamp that literally is X amount of dollars of approval, but it's the same mulch, I'm struggling to understand how that same exact mulch from a company increased by this amount. And maybe I'm misunderstanding something about it, but that's where I'm having my struggle. To make sure we understand, we went from $36,400 to $72,157 without freight on that one. Those are both just numbers without freight.
Well, again, this company directly contacted TDEC, got them directly to them and said, this is what we want. And when they went out and quoted it, this is the amounts it came in at for the mulch that TDEC, for the certification they required. Why it goes up, there's a lot of things that go up just because it has a particular stamp on it. Whether that's right or wrong or indifferent, that's just the way it is. Obviously, if there's a way we get into it, we can cut the cost down. We're certainly going to try to do that, but we also need to meet the standards we're going to be required to meet once TDEC comes out and inspect this property. And they've already been looked at it as part of the application process. And once they looked at it, this is something they specifically said they wanted us to do and that they will inspect it once the project is complete. I know that there are other grants out there for private organizations, which we're trying to look at those and see if we can apply for those to help us out with this as well.
Are we still looking at wanting a colored mulch or a black?
I think we should go with color because there's a lot of people out in the county that has talked about the black. They talk the kids get dirty and it gets hot and all of this, and colored, it doesn't show as much dirt and it's not as hot as black is.
Not to go against what you're saying there with the public, but our school kids play on the same exact black mulch every day at the playground out there. They play in August. I went and asked that principal at the elementary school to see if they'd ever had any complaints on heat, and they've not had any issues at all with that side of it. I don't disagree with you. I think the color might look better in that case and have some coolness effects, but if they hadn't had trouble in August at the school, I don't know if it's worth the dollar figure that we're talking about just for dyeing. It's the same exact, it's still shredded tires. Let's do understand that what we're talking about right here is shredded tires. So it came out black. It just was in some way dyed or painted. Versus the difference in that is if we are able to go with something like the color that we want to go with, the Jelly Bean is always color because it comes out as different colors of flooring, is what it is, just chip flooring. Rubber flooring that's never been used. It's the leftovers when they built a rubber floor for somewhere. And it's going to be different colors no matter what. That one is, like I said, at $95,000 with shipping here. However, at this point, we're trying to get all the approvals to make sure it meets the TDEC's qualifications. Whereas honestly, it has quite a few more approvals than anything I've seen, honestly, in quite a few of its pieces. It's got toxicity reports. It's got, it's gone through quite a few different pieces. He just needs to get in touch with TDEC. Seems to not be able to get in touch with TDEC at this point.
We see the figures here of the different ones. I mean, he was saying we need to try to come up with a figure and go from there tonight, maybe.
And just for information, I did pass along the link to the Jelly Bean and all that information we had gotten before to TDEC. I haven't heard anything back from them. They said they wanted to look at it and research a little bit. They were not familiar with it, but that's been a few weeks ago.
I'm just looking at all the numbers and figures we've got here. Looks like any direction we go in, it's going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of $100,000. I mean, that's as close as we're going to get it. If we're just looking for a dollar amount tonight, that's $100,000 no matter what we do.
On that same note, Mayor, you and I discussed last week, and we tried to discuss what was still remaining in those couple of grant funds. Did you get a chance to look through those? I did not.
Yeah, there's about, I don't know the exact dollar amount, around 193 remaining in the governor's local support grant from last year. We did get another 301,000 this year. We're hoping to use some of that for the window project or something here at the courthouse. And there may be some of that coming out of the HVAC. We're hoping to use some American Rescue funds to redo the HVAC here because they do talk about you can't use it for ventilation improvements. And to me, that's spot on for what they call congregate settings. All our boards, commissions and everything meet here, and we're looking to move the election commission over here. So to me, that seems like that would be right on point with that. So hoping to use those American Rescue funds for that project. And then that would free up some of this governor's local support grant for some of these other things we're looking to do.
That would be the additional 301 you're talking about?
Well, there's an additional 301 we got this fiscal year. From what we got last fiscal year, there's 190, approximately 193 remaining.
Well, we've talked about a number. We can sit here, we can look at this number. Looks like it's gonna cost us $100,000 to look at right here in this case. I'll put it in the form of a motion and see if anybody wants to push it forward there in this case, that we allocate $100,000 out of our governor's local support grant. I believe is the one that we're really looking at putting that out of. Is that correct? I know we're not saying where it comes from, but that we're saying we'd allocate $100,000.
Of the grant money we received that doesn't have COVID-19 strings attached to it, that's the only pot we could use.
There we go. I'd put that in the form of motion for towards rubber mulch.
Any more discussion? We got a motion of $100,000, a second, Mr. Clarity. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? That motion carries. So you got a figure to work with there now, Mayor. Let's move on to number 4, other business. Mr. Clarity brought in a quote about some poles and lighting at the Little League field. Do you want to go over that, Mr. Clarity?
They came down and looked at all the poles and wiring and everything. That's this amount is them doing it all. That's installing, putting the lights in, and they said if the wires and switches were all good, they wouldn't have to do anything other than just put the poles in and wire it up.
If you get any more bids or anything, looking at down there, Mayor?
I think Mr. Salee had talked to Musco and some other ones, but that was back when it was steel poles. I don't know. I'm going to turn over to Mr. Salee. I know he had more contact with those than I did directly.
We're still talking with Musco as far as the lights go. They're quite a bit more expensive. The poles were almost $100,000 more than what Mr. Clarity here has here.
You say just the poles were more than that?
Yeah.
And they're setting steel poles from what I see here, right? Well, yeah, I see that, but I mean, for steel, for wood. Mm-hmm. I mean,
Mr. Jewell?
I'm sorry, my question was, is that replacing all the poles or leaving the ones that they thought were okay to use? I know we talked about adding some and we thought some of them were still okay. I just wondered if that was completely replacing all of the poles plus the new ones. Okay. Just want to be clear on it.
And they also said that the lights that are used now, they can no longer get. So if anything goes wrong with these, we're going to have to replace them anyway because nobody can get them anymore.
Did you have any more, Mr. Slee?
Not on the poles, no, sir. I will say the company Johnson Controls sent up, I thought had a better deal on the lights. If I don't see just the lights separated in this quote right here, so I can't say for sure, but it seems like that they had a little bit better deal on their lighting.
This price is total project, poles, lights, installation, everything. Okay.
So this would still require us to make those movements down by the T-ball field where that one box is lower, or is this including raising it up like we were discussed? I'm taking not.
It's not, no. This quote, all it does is replace all the poles, lighting, installation, wiring, and all of that. It doesn't have anything to do with the moving the electrical box over there.
Did you get any more? Did you talk to Border States anymore, Mr. Gully, or?
When I saw this from Mr. Clarity, I didn't see anybody that could get close to this, just to be honest with you.
Is this something we need to take action on tonight on the,
Well, there are some poles that I would like to get replaced before we go in the next Little League season. I know they've been there since I came into office and they were in pretty rough shape. At this point, I would have to go back and Amy and I'd have to sit down. I'm not exactly sure where the money's going to come from because we still have the windows here. And Bedford County just bid out their courthouse, redo their windows. Now it may be a larger building, but it came out to $261,000. So.
we do have a figure here and it looks like a good figure. Mr. Clarity's got here from them. Yeah, I mean, is that something, entertain a motion to do that, or do we need to act on this tonight?
I'd like to put it in a motion to send it to Budget and Financing, and I would like to see them go with the steel poles. We might as well do it. We're gonna do it right, I guess. So send it on to Budget and Financing with the steel poles for the 232 number, correct? Yeah.
So we do have a motion to send this to Budget and Finance to do this, to see if we can come up with the money, the $232,645. Motion by Mr. Burton. Do I have a second on it? A second by Mr. Gully. Any more discussion on it? All in favor, say aye. Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Let's move on to, is any other business we need to bring up? Any more business?
I will update you on the disc golf course. I've been in contact with the gentleman there. He said he's had a little bit of, he's a little bit behind where he thought his fundraising would be. So he did give me a number to pass out and I'll send that to the committee members. And if you know anybody that may be interested, whether a private citizen or a business, if you pass that number along to him, he's willing to speak to anybody that's looking to maybe donate for that.
So we move on to number 5. Any public comment, Mr. Gregory? Nothing. All righty, we'll move on to number 6. I have a motion to adjourn. Motion by Gully, second by I'm sorry, Mr. Salee.
We do have the pool winterized this year. I've talked to a couple of people about maybe getting the tarp replaced. It was on the pool several years ago. I've never visually seen a tarp on it, but they tell me that there is one. It's gonna be around somewhere between $8,000 and $9,000 to have the tarp rebuilt. They've told me that that would ensure the longevity of the pool, both, you know, the Marbalite finish and, maybe we'll be able to reuse the water every year instead of having to drain it and pressure wash it and change it out. I want to throw that out there. Matt Dockery's reached out to us and somebody has spray painted some stuff on the skate park over there that he spent a lot of time and money on, you know, of his own money. And he was wondering if he couldn't maybe do some kind of painting or murals to cover that stuff up. And I told him I'd bring that to you.
Is that all you got?
Yes, sir.
Is there money in the maintenance budget to cover the cost of the tarp? Pool cover, I thought he used the word tarp.
Do you know if we had the money there, or we go in?
Oh, I'm not sure yet. We're doing some picnic renovations, picnic table renovations. We're doing several things in the park right now, so we'll just have to wait and see where we land. Hopefully we do. If not, we'll try to budget it for next year. I don't know that the price of the tarp pool cover would justify the water savings and that kind of thing. I'm just not sure that is, you know, it's justifiable.
I think the biggest thing with it would be to protect it from UV light, which is what tears down the surfaces of it's as much for that as it is the other, but probably something that we need to look at and get a firm price on and see if we can find money in the budget to do it. If you're recommending it.
Do you recommend that we do need to cover or not, Mr. Salee?
I'm gonna have to do some more research. I'd like to see what the winterizing kit's gonna cost to put in a 25,000 gallon swimming pool. And there's several other things that go along with, you know, winterizing it. We have to drain it down every year like we did this year. We drained it below the skimmers, blew all the lines out, had to fill it back up. And that was just this past week. So the water bills, you have to come in on that. That'll have to be done regardless because of all the water lines going into the pump house. All that'll have to be drained and pushed back out into the pool. So I've got to do some more studying.
Is that something you can bring, maybe the next meeting we have?
Yes, sir.
Has anybody else got anything?
I do.
Oh, Mr.
What writing, is it graffiti writing on the skate park?
Yeah, there was some spray paint sprayed both on the big hump in the middle and then on the far side ramp, on the southern side of the ramp.
Mr. Gully had gotten with some of his kids, I'm gonna say in the middle of summer, about them doing some drawings. What I saw of those drawings, what I remember those drawings, would that be something that would cover it?
I'm not sure.
I think you're referring to, I had some kids come to me and I told them I'd bring it to this committee. They never came back to me with drawings though.
If Mr. Doctor is willing to do it, I say let him do it and take care of it, and maybe we won't have that problem anymore.
Do we need to put that in the form of a motion there, or just?
He's already went down and spent about at least a half a day pressure washing, getting off what he could. It's still there, but it's not near as visible as it once was.
But you said he was willing to paint over those, put some murals over them? Is
Yes,
that
sir.
correct? Is he wanting an expense on our end, or is he willing to donate that piece?
I'm
He's done a
sure
lot of
he'll-
donating to that piece already. So
Yeah, I'm sure he'll donate. I can get clarification and bring it back. if need be.
I definitely put in a motion to let him do so, such in that case as needed, if we need that motion here.
I'll second that.
Okay. I got a motion by Mr. Gully, a second by Burton to go ahead and let him do this, Mr. Dockery to do that. Is there any more discussion on this? All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Now do I have a motion to adjourn? Got a motion by Mr. Gully, second by Mr. Taylor. All in favor, say aye. Appreciate y'all coming. I hadn't got another meeting scheduled, but we'll try to schedule one in the next few months or so.